Right. How would you describe Thunder Tier 1 to someone who never saw the game?
Right, so Thunder Tier 1 is basically a tactical top-down shooter game that is focused around small-scale operations. It is, I would say, a quite weird combination of a genre or a perspective that's usually attributed to arcade games, but with a healthy or maybe even unhealthy sometimes dose of realism.
What kind of missions are we talking about? What objectives do we have? What challenges do we have?
So the main mode is the co-op mode or the campaign mode, which is heavily objective driven, and these objectives range from simple tasks such as move to point A and destroy object B, through some more elaborate tasks where you have to defend some point from the enemy activity for a specific amount of time. And ending on more complex tasks such as rescuing hostages or capturing an enemy and escorting him out of the AO.
But would you call it more a PvP or a PvE game?
It's a game that's made predominantly to be enjoyed in a co-op experience, but as the game is being developed, we're trying to leave an open room for PvP by taking careful approach to balancing and adding content to the game in order to provide a fair environment also for two teams to fight against each other.
When did you start developing this, and what was the inspiration behind Thunder Tier 1?
I started working on this long time ago. it's been around 6 years, I believe, or maybe a little bit more, since we made our first steps in this project. Initially, I was just experimenting in Unreal Engine 4, which was something very new for me, as at the time I was working on a proprietary engine of Bohemia Interactive, and did not have much experience with commercial engines such as this. Previously, I only touched Unity, basically made a few games in there. And as I was learning about Unreal Engine, I did come across this kind of interesting top-down mechanics where you not only have to aim at the direction in which you shoot, but also you should be a little bit more accurate and more precise of what you're doing, and came up with this point-click shooting approach, which kind of reminded me of the old games I used to play, like old games like Cannon Fodder and so on.
What games influenced you? I mean, you mentioned Cannon Fodder. What else was there?
Yeah, and then because it's a shooting game, I immediately started thinking about games like Rainbow Six, the early ones, of course, the Ghost Recon, the Island Thunder. Of course, I also got inspired just because of the perspective by such games as XCOM, as Jagged Alliance, as Commandos, the series, Desperados, and so forth. So they're a little bit different games, but all of them have some elements that I tried to convey in this project, in this interesting mixture of mine.
Another question that we've been asked a lot is, why going for a top-down shooter?
Yeah, so there are a couple of answers to this question, and some of them are, some of them are quite straightforward. But for one, I feel like it makes the game in a way quite unique. There's not so many products like this out on the market, and this top-down perspective gives you a little bit more of a tactical feeling, in my opinion, especially when you command your team or play together in a co-op experience. It's kind of easier to perceive where everybody is and get this extra overview. Of course, it brings its own issues and makes it kind of hard to translate some of the basic shooter mechanics into such perspective. But nevertheless, it's what makes Thunder what it is.
What do you like the most about the current state of the game?
I kind of like the feel. I like the mechanics in which it is easy to die, but also easy to kill. And whenever I look at the graphics and the feel of the game. It brings a little bit of those nostalgic feelings in me, and brings me back to the teenager days.
What about your favorite game mode? We have a few game modes. We've already shown some of them. What would you say is your favorite game mode? What do you see yourself playing the most?
I think I would say co-op. I do enjoy Thunder for its co-op part the most right now. I do occasionally like to, you know, play a round of ANS, but I think this is where I get the most fun with playing with other people and working as a team.
Let's start with what you're currently doing on Thunder T1, Pavel.
It's a good question. We're currently at the time of the project where most of the basic game mechanics and base content has been created and established, and we are focusing our efforts on polishing and finalizing those elements that still need to be tied up. And as always in the game dev, the things that seem to be not that big usually take a long time, and there's many different reasons for that. But yeah, it's what we do right now, and we're trying to reach a stage in which Thunder Tier 1 will feel complete and without any major issues.